Graphic design, the universal language of people. People have been communicating with pictorial systems since before the written language. Through history, we can see literacy has improved, and more people have become contributing members of society through the art of graphic communication. Today, many people may achieve literacy, but there's another literacy taking shape: digital literacy, or the ability to understand how to use digital technology to be a graphic communicator. Most people don't think of themselves as a graphic designer, but if you engage in the creation of media like pictures, you are creating graphic designs. Here we have some fundamental elements of design. However, it may not be necessary to use all of these elements together in a single image, but the use of some of these together in a strategic way can be very compelling. The goal is to understand these fundamentals to create focus and meaning. Like the elements of design working together to create cohesion, typography must also. Typography used effectively often blends seamlessly within a composition. The components of type are relatively simple, but understanding these traits and how to use them is critical to success. There are two distinct forms of type: serif or sans serif. Serif fonts include the accent at the end of each letter. These fonts are typically used for more formal designs and are easier to read in printed materials. Sans serif fonts are typically less formal and are used for contemporary or modern designs. They are easier to read on the web. Most fonts serve some purpose, but there are some fonts we should mostly stay away from in professional design work. Some of these bad fonts are more suitable for a lemonade stand or a blueprint on a large format piece of paper. They are usually illegible and generic. Good fonts, on the other hand, make it easier to read and look classy for the given situation. Sometimes even good fonts have faults. The combination of some letters too close together can be illegible depending on the situation. Fortunately, most graphic software has many ways to edit the kerning, tracking, or the leading. This should be edited differently for headings and body type. Poor pixelation often happens when an image is too small for the intended format. If an image is too pixelated, it becomes blurry and hard to see. The native PPI for images on the web is 72 pixels per inch. The suggested DPI for printed material is 150 DPI or greater. Contrast helps us distinguish foreground from background. It helps create focus and draw the eye into certain areas. Contrast can be created by understanding value. Each color has value related to other colors in the image. Tweaking imagery to create contrast can improve the overall quality of your artwork. Objects aligned create order and sequence. Objects out of alignment draw your attention to it. If you want to emphasize an object, you can break alignment. Otherwise, breaking alignment can be distracting. Creating rules for lining things up consistently in your composition lends itself to the most ordered presentation. Repeated elements create harmonious relationships in your design. They can also create a pattern to give the illusion of depth or texture. They can also lead the viewer's eyes through an image to tell a story. Repetition can be broken to create emphasis or focal points in key areas of the composition. Elements that are close to each other or overlap create visual groups. Visual elements separated from groups seem isolated. Proximity used in this way can create harmony or emphasis based on the relationships. Being aware of these groups can influence the arrangement and hierarchy of the design. Color theory is a study of how light and pigments produce color. Some color theorists may also look into how color affects us psychologically. Understanding components of color theory like the color wheel and color schemes, as well as properties of light, can help us understand how to create better color relationships. The colors we see on the screen are visible in RGB, or red, green, blue, and are made up of dots we call pixels. If we were to print what is shown on the screen, chances are this will be printed in CMYK, or cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. The printer translates RGB information into colors to be printed. Color schemes are useful to create harmony and consistency. Oftentimes this lends itself to a limited palette, which also creates focus. Using the color wheel to understand these basic schemes can be translated into more complex color assignments, such as those in a Pantone or paint palette. Brand identity is a way for graphic designers to communicate a brand image through its products and materials. For most people, creating a portfolio brand image that is cohesive with their business cards and other printed materials is expected. This should also match any websites, blogs, social media, and any public image presented. White space and margins should also be considered carefully when designing a composition. Most body text is well within the margins of the page in order for it to be read and not get cut off. However, some text is suitable for the margins. Likewise, some imagery or text can completely break these rules and go off the page and be presented as full bleed. Some things you should not do to your composition: don't stretch it, pixelate it, or overlap elements in a distracting way. Make sure all of your type and images are legible. Don't use a rainbow of colors just because you like color. Don't use too many fonts, and keep your borders and frames consistent. Be intentional. Let's tell the story of the swans again, this time with the principles of design applied. We chose a crop and extended it full bleed. We aligned things, we used limited and legible fonts, and we only applied subtle borders if necessary. This helps tell the story and keeps the viewers focused. Develop an eye for graphic design. Find things that you like and inspire you. Pinterest is a great resource for a variety of mediums and topics. You can save boards that inspire you there. You can compare portfolios on Behance. You can also learn all kinds of things from Canva tutorials as well as make designs there.